Good evening, high school football fans. This is High School Football America for January the 23rd. I'm Jeff Fisher, host of the show and founder and editor-in-chief of High School Football America and highschoolfootballamerica.com, settling in for another big show here on the Artist First Radio Network tonight. And before we get to this week, I want to thank everyone that interacted with us, whether it was on Facebook or Twitter, just talking about last week's wonderful show. It was so fun to do. We had Bill Courtney, the former head coach at Manassas High School and the star, the centerpiece of Undefeated, the Oscar-winning documentary, and Zach Guilford, a.k.a. Matt Saracen, from the NBC television series Friday Night Lights. A lot of great feedback. If you missed that interview, you can check it out in our archives two ways at artistfirst.com or at High School Football America. Just go to National Radio Show. Three big guests on the show again this week, but before we get to that, let's talk about the people that make it possible, beginning with Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, our partner. They remind you, Tony the Tiger reminds you to share what you love with who you love. Also brought to you tonight by the fine folks at Southern Sport that bring you the Debris Inhibitor Razor. The Debris Inhibitor Razor, spelled R-A-Z-U-R, also known as the TDI Razor. What does the TDI Razor do? It keeps those pesky rubber crumbs from field turf out of your shoes, players, and it gives you that great look of spatting, too. Lightweight, durable, just wash it over and use it over and over and over again, and we've got a discount coupon code for you. All you have to do is go to the website, but I'm going to give it to you right now if you want to write it down, HSFBARZR1, and you go to TDIRazor.com, R-A-Z-U-R, and put that code in, and you get a 40% discount on your order. And great product. It really, and it's American made, which we love at High School Football America. Also brought to you tonight by the Maxwell Football Club. Its annual gala coming up in Atlantic City in March. You can learn about that or become a member at maxwellfootballclub.org. And also brought to you tonight by WebLeats, changing the face of sports recruiting. WebLeats.com. Get your free student-athlete profile by going to WebLeats.com. As I mentioned, three big guests on the show tonight. We're excited about them, and we'll tell you about them. The first one coming up in just a few minutes, Matt Webb, the head coach at Maryville High School in Northwest Missouri. Maryville, title town, perfect town, call it whatever you want. I did a lot of research. I couldn't find another program that's been able to do this, but if you know one out there or if you were part of one, please feel free to tweet us out at HSFB America. But Maryville was a perfect 45-0 this past season, from the 7th and 8th grade programs up through freshman, JV, and then the varsity program winning its second straight Division III Missouri State Football Championship this past season. Matt Webb is the head coach there, stepping back from the college ranks to go back to his alma mater. He's a perfect 30-0 in his first two seasons. And the cherry on the sundae of the 45-0 is the town's university, Northwest Missouri State University. They won the NCAA Division II championship, fourth time in 8 tries. They were 15-0, so Maryville, perfect little town in Northwest Missouri, of 60-0, and we'll have Matt Webb talking about the programs coming up in just a little bit here on High School Football America. Also on the show tonight, Chuck Rohe. He will talk about the Nike Coach of the Year clinics. We've had Jim Tack, my good friend, Hall of Fame coach from Pennsylvania, on talking about his in Allentown, Pennsylvania. But this is a national program. All the great Nike coaches from around the country take part in this. There are 16 clinics. The first one starting in Atlanta at the end of the month here, the 31st, and then they run January, February, and March, and you'll learn more about that at their website coming up here in just a little bit. It's NikeCoyFootball.com. So Chuck Rohe coming up in a little bit. So that's how the show's set up. Before we get to it, let's give you a little bit of news from around the nation. Lots of big things going on, and remember, we never go away. We're on social media, the website, highschoolfootballamerica.com. Updated daily, and we'll start in Alabama, where the Alabama High School Athletic Association has added a new classification, a 7A classification. So 7 championship games will be played in Alabama, coming up 32 teams in that new 7A classification. In Iowa, they were voting on whether to reduce the regular season from 9 games to 8. That vote took place yesterday, and at least for the next 2 years, the regular season in Iowa will remain at 9 games. In Connecticut, they're changing the playoff format there. They've still got a little bit of work to do, but you can check out the story at highschoolfootballamerica.com on what they are looking at this point as far as shifting around the rounds to make sure that the Thanksgiving Day games, a tradition in the Northeast, survive and thrive, and the playoffs don't impact them. Once again, for these states in the Northeast that have the Thanksgiving Day games, and you've heard me talk about this on the show, there are occasions when you play a regular season game and then you play a playoff game. You've got Thanksgiving sandwiched in there, and a lot of these teams end up playing 3 games in 8 days, which is a lot, no matter what level that you're at. And the final piece of news, I love this streak. The Big 33 streak with the Super Bowl continues. And what is that streak? Well, for the 48th straight Super Bowl, and there's only been 48, there will be at least one alum on the field that played in the Big 33 Classic, which is played annually in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Through the years, Pennsylvania All-Stars have played All-Star teams from Ohio, Maryland, which they're playing right now, Texas, an All-USA team. There were a couple of years when it was just an East-West format in Pennsylvania, but the long and the short of it is it's more than just an all-star football game. They have a great buddy system there where the players get to interact throughout the practice week with it's called the buddy system, and they have these special needs children that just love the heck out of this. It's one of those bucket list things. If you're a high school football fan that has things you need and want to do, like going to a Texas championship game, something like that, you should put the Big 33 Classic down on your list. It's played in June in Hershey, Pennsylvania. You get to go to Chocolate Town and see how the Hershey bars are made too. But anyway, the long and the short of it is the streak extended to 48 straight, with 3 players winning conference championships and now playing at MetLife Stadium, hopefully not in the snow, although, there's a part of me that just wants there to be a blizzard so we can say to the NFL, you shouldn't play these games in New York City. I'm a back east guy, but I want the biggest game in the world to be played under some pretty decent conditions. So anyway, the 3 players that will be on the field that played in the Big 33 game, Seattle's Jordan Hill. Jordan Hill, a rookie defensive tackle out of Penn State, played in the 2009 Big 33 Classic while he was at Steelton High Spire. And this year, 4 games with the Seahawks, 7 tackles and 1.5 sacks. The Broncos have 2 players, third-string quarterback, third string behind Peyton Manning, Zach Dysert. He played in the, let's see, what game did he play in there? It was the 2008 Big 33 Classic from Ada High School out of Ohio. And the third player, center Steve Valos, won the championship, conference championship on Sunday with the Broncos, so he's a Big 33 representing alum. Valos played in the 2002 Big 33 Classic as a member of Boardman High School in Ohio. You can learn more about the streak by going to highschoolfootballamerica.com. Again, news from around the nation. We break it out by state. We also have our national stories, some great columns in there from myself, First and Fisher. We have sideline hits with my partner Trish Hoffman, and we've also got some coaches that blog for us on a regular basis, like Jason Strunk and Brian Weichel and Bill Godsell and Greg Gerber. They're all there for you on highschoolfootballamerica.com. Taking our first break. When we come back, we're going to that perfect little town in Northwest Missouri. They were 60-0 this year. Matt Webb from Maryville High School talking about what was an incredible, maybe a once-in-a-lifetime type of season. That story when we come back. You're listening to High School Football America. Football players, listen up. I'm going to tell you about a great new product and a new sponsor here at High School Football America. And if you're one of those players that when you're playing on field turf, those nasty pieces of rubber get in your shoes and just annoy the heck out of you, well, there's a product out there that's going to take care of that. It is innovative and it's American-made. It's called the Debris Inhibitor Razor, and the Razor is spelled R-A-Z-U-R. The Debris Inhibitor Razor is a seamless outer sock that was specifically designed to keep crumb rubber and other fine debris from artificial or grass playing fields out of the athlete's shoes and socks, thus keeping such debris also out of the gym bags and out of locker rooms. It's favorited by athletes who want that look of tape, by trainers who no longer have time to tape only for show, and of course by moms who no longer want that crumb rubber in their house. The Debris Inhibitor Razor at TDIRazor.com is made of 70% nylon and 30% spandex material, making it extra lightweight and very durable. It's backed by a 1-year performance guarantee, and like I said at the beginning, it is 100% American-made, and we love that at High School Football America. The Debris Inhibitor Razor covers just the right amount of a player's shoe while keeping shoelaces tight. It is fully customizable via screen print or embroidery, machine washable, and most important, it's easy to get on and off. The Debris Inhibitor Razor is available in black, white, and pink, and other colors may be specially ordered. Sizes are available from the youth level right up to that Bigfoot, the extra large shoe at 14 to 17. Founded in 2010 by former University of Mississippi All-SEC player Carl Hoppy Langley III and 3 other partners, Southern Sport Inc. created the Debris Inhibitor to improve athletic performance by protecting athletes, allowing them to look and feel better with technically advanced product engineering with superior fabric construction, patented design, and its proven innovation. That is the Debris Inhibitor Razor, a new sponsor here at High School Football America. We highly recommend you check them out at TDIRazor.com. That's razor spelled R-A-Z-U-R. When you contact them, mention you heard the ad on High School Football America. You'll be glad you did. This portion of High School Football America brought to you by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Tony the Tiger reminding you to share that passion you have for sports, Dad. Whenever you want to sit down with the kids and talk about whether it's football, basketball, baseball, it doesn't matter. Make sure you sit down with the kids and you do it over a bowl of Frosted Flakes. Well, the first guest here on the show, Matt Webb, who's going to step in a second, may legitimately have the ability to say he's from Titletown. Well, we know a lot of places out in the world out there like to kind of throw that title around. Titletown, USA, but Maryville High School in Maryville, Missouri, in the northwest part of the state, has had, as best I can tell, the best season ever when it comes to high school football, and then it went right up to Northwest Missouri State University, which won a Division II championship. If you take the 7th, 8th grade programs, freshman, JV, and then the varsity, and then add in the university right next door there, a perfect 60-0 in 2013, Maryville winning its 2nd straight Missouri State championship. And Coach Webb, who has not lost a game since coming from the college ranks back to high school, has had a pretty good run, and he's on the line right now to talk about the true Titletown in America, at least for 2013, Maryville, Missouri. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate everything you guys do, and certainly an honor to be on the program.
Well, thank you for saying that, and we appreciate all the things that coaches do. And, boy, what a run you've had. So when you start listening to that, and I know you've now had some time to kind of digest it here into January, but 60-0, no losses. It was just you couldn't be any more perfect, I guess. So what goes through your mind when you start thinking and hearing those things?
Well, I think, first and foremost, I'm a man of faith, and I believe God. 2 years ago, I was in South Louisiana, coaching Division I AA football down at Southeastern Louisiana University, and I have 2 young children. I have, a wife and two daughters, a 7-year-old and 4-year-old, and felt the calling of God from God that I wanted to quit moving around the country and get my kids in a good community and in a good place to raise kids. And I'm from Maryville. I was born and raised here. Went to high school here, and after I left, high school, went on to college. I coached college ball for 15 years, and just the uniqueness in what God's plan has for us, individually. Where no matter what level you coach, or no matter where you're at, just kind of following God's plan, and feel certainly blessed. I still feel very blessed to be able to say, in 2 years as a high school coach, we've been 30-0. 2 back-to-back undefeated seasons, 2 state championships, and I think initially the feeling is just an extreme amount of blessedness that that comes our way.
You got to live up to yourself, that's for sure. We're talking with Matt Webb at Maryville High School in Missouri. An incredible year from 7th grade right up through the university there in town, a perfect 60-0. We're talking about last season, and you mentioned that you are an alum of Maryville, and it's about a town, I guess, of 10,000 from what I saw on Wikipedia last time. What's it like for you to kind of return to the scene of the crime where you began your football career?
Well, I think it's a certain amount of pride. When I went to school here, graduated high school here in 1993, and there's been a lot of really good coaches, a lot of strong tradition here at Maryville. We're the Spoofhounds, and I think that's the only that's our mascot. And commonly, everybody's asking, what is a Spoofhound, and it makes it unique. When we're located, like I said, about 2 hours north of Kansas City. It's just kind of between Kansas City and Omaha and in that area, the northern part of Missouri. And we talk a lot about, Maryville's a unique place. You got to want to be here. You got to want to be a Spoofhound. You got to be able to, it's not something you just pass through. There's a lot of places in the country that are on an interstate, or, you're maybe not developing an identity type sometimes, and the high school traditions and the community and things like that. And this is a unique place. You got to want to be in Maryville, and you got to be able to want to put up with the bad winters. Right now it's about 10 degrees outside, and we've had about 12 inches of snow, and our guys like to go out and we'll have an after-school weight program that gets going, and we'll be out there flipping tires today in about 5-degree weather with snow on the ground. And it's a unique place. It really is, and we're very fortunate to be able to have a great university here in town, Northwestern Missouri State. We work well together, and the head coach there, Adam Dorrell, and I actually grew up together as little kids in town as well. And we're still good friends to this day, and being 39 years old, turning 40, it's a pretty unique feeling to be able to come back home and see the success that he's had at Northwest, and to be able to experience success here at the high school level is it's a pretty awesome feeling. Very, very, very proud.
And we'll talk about that connection with you and Adam in just a little bit here. But I people that listen to the show know I love nicknames. One of my favorite is in West Virginia, Polka High School, P-O-C-A, and they're the Polka Dots. And when I heard Spoofhound, I was like, what the heck is a Spoofhound? So I guess you get that a lot. What is a Spoofhound?
Well, I think the common answer is nowadays when people ask, what's a Spoofhound, you tell them a state champion. That's what a
Nice.
Spoofhound is. But the story goes, it was it's a mythical kind of a carnival dog back in, I believe, the 1930s, or they used to be called the Maryville Dogs, and an old football coach was they were having a bad practice and said, you guys aren't acting like a bunch of hounds, you're acting like a bunch of Spoofhounds. And the name just kind of stuck. The coach called him that, and name just kind of stuck, and it's the only one in the country, I believe. So take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, I don't think another one of my favorites is in Indiana, the Frankfurt hot dogs. I went up there and saw the dachshund on the back of the press box. I don't know how tough a dachshund is when it comes to football, but it worked for me. We're talking with Matt Webb tonight, the head coach at Maryville High School in Maryville, Missouri. Titletown, USA, a perfect 60-0. We talked about what it means to you, and obviously you mentioned the players a little bit there, but I got to imagine as this is going to get out, and we hope this is the one that springs it big nationally. What about the fans in the town there? I'm assuming in a town of 10,000, there's a lot of hometown pride. So how's the town feeling about it?
Yeah, very excited. Very excited. It's like I said, this is back-to-back years for us for making that trip to St. Louis and winning a state championship. But at the same level, it's a lot of excitement, a lot of pride. It's there's Northwest Missouri State has had a proud tradition and as well. And when the old university wins a national championship, and then the high school wins state championship, there's just a lot of pride, a lot of fans, that really just are very proudful of what these kids have been able to do, and to be able to go. And sometimes I believe sometimes in sports one of the best motivators is losing, and when anytime you lose a competition, whether it's in basketball or baseball or any sport, you always come back the next time and you want to prove it wrong, figure out what you did wrong and win. And to be able to be undefeated is unique. We never experienced that. And sometimes it's a different mindset of motivation. It's a different mindset of kids figuring out how do we get better. It's the little things and being able to coach guys up and find out whether it's a technique here, or a technique there, or whatever it is. And sometimes dealing with those pressures, that come from expectations and things. It's a unique community, and everybody's jumped on board, and it's just a lot of fun.
Talking with Matt Webb tonight, Maryville High School in Northwest Missouri, the Spoofhounds, and mentioned that you mentioned at the top that you were at Southeastern Louisiana, defensive coordinator there, and left to come back to the high school ranks. Tell me about the adjustment for you. Big adjustment, small adjustment. What were the adjustments?
Well, I think the adjustment is, really it was a lot. I inherited a staff. I have the best. I say it many times. I feel like I got the best staff in the state of Missouri. I mean, they're awesome. We're our schemes that we run. I don't coordinate either side of the ball. I'm the head coach. I have an offensive coordinator who does a great job. We're wing T, and then our defensive coordinator. We've kind of done some stuff that I've done in the past, but we're pretty base defense, 4-3 quarter scheme, and I've got some awesome assistant coaches. So the adjustment phase was made really easy by me. For me, simply because I got some great assistant coaches. They did a great job. I think one of the things I did when I never really, felt like God was calling me to be a high school coach. I was chugging along with the high school career or college career and recruiting and being a coordinator, and just felt like that's where I should be. And I really didn't think of anything about being a high school coach. It just didn't ever feel like that's where I was called. And then, so when it happened and this opportunity came open, I jumped on it, and really I didn't approach it any different like I would a college job. The expectations in a community like this are high, just like it is on every college campus. These guys have the same pressures that I think a lot of college athletes feel sometimes, and they're only the ages of 15 to 18, and that fishbowl environment that they live in, and what is expected of them in the off season, and those things are very similar, in our program to what a college athlete feels like. So we didn't really, our practice schedules set up like a college practice, and the weight room and the off season and things like that. It's we kind of chug along. That this is what I didn't try and treat it any different than what I would a college program.
Well, nobody sets out to go 45-0 from 7th grade through varsity, that's for sure. But at what point did maybe you and the staff kind of look at each other and maybe kind of whisper under your breath, we haven't lost a game in this program this year, or did that not happen until the end?
Well, I think it didn't happen to the end. That we, from the varsity program, you're dealing with 2 years of it, and we went 15-0 last year, so you're dealing with the third longest streak at any level, I believe, in the state of Missouri. And when that winning streak, get the numbers, when another team, maybe it'd be Class 4 or Class 2 or something, would lose, and we move up the chart, on those winning streaks, it's you start thinking, the word gets out there, and we didn't shy away from it. We sometimes coaches talk about the streaks and jinx it and things like that, and we just kind of kept the expectations up on the forefront, and we started realizing. We don't talk about winning and losing a lot. We talk about the process and what it takes to win, and whether that be, rushing for 3 yards or more per rush, or on defense stopping the run, or getting takeaways on defense, or not turning the ball over, or doing good in the classroom, or doing good in the community, and getting your rest at night, eating correctly. But basically we talk about the things it takes to win instead of winning or losing. And we talk about the streak and about how proud we are of those that came before us, and a lot of these guys on this team this year were on members last year, and they didn't want to be the team that be the guys that lost a game. We beat a team 18-16, a very good team in our conference about midway through the season, and had to come back at the end and win. And I think there's a lot of character development, and every team develops its own identity throughout the season. So as we were developing that identity, we replaced 22 starters from last year's team. Or 22 seniors from last year's team, so it was a different group. And this year we were able to kind of develop our own identity throughout the season, and you deal with the winning streak and how you talk about that, and we just kind of kept it up front and visited about those issues and what their expectations are, and each week dealt with the pressure.
And it came out perfectly, 60-0 in Maryville this year, if you count Northwestern Missouri State, which won the Division II championship. We're talking with Matt Webb tonight, the head coach of Maryville High School, the Spoofhounds, the program from 7th grade through varsity, a perfect 45-0. And you mentioned the assistants. It doesn't get done without them. And then there's the players. And you mentioned that this team was different from the one that won the championship in 2012. Let's get some names in here for some of the kids that made a big difference and kept that streak alive. Maybe start with your captains. Who were they, and what kind of role did they play in 2013?
Yeah, two captains. Number one is our quarterback and free safety, Trenton Alley. Trent had never played quarterback up to this year. We graduated off of last year's team. We graduated the Class 3 Offensive Player of the Year, and Jonathan Baker, who went on. He's playing out here at Northwestern Missouri State. He's a Bearcat, and he kind of set all the passing records and did a good job throwing the football. But he had been a 3-year starter. So going into the off season, Trent was a All-State player last year as a safety, and he's a college safety is what he is. I mean, he's a great athlete, and but we asked him to be quarterback and really just kind of control our offense and not feel like he needs to go do anything outside of what he is. He's a great athlete. He's a great leader. He's a young man that is a basketball player. Sometimes in Class 3 schools, and we're at Missouri, we have multiple sport athletes, and Trent's a winner. And that's one of the things we talked about with him playing quarterback is we want the guy to touch the ball every time. And we did some things differently with him, and Trent just did an awesome job being a leader and being a senior captain for us. And really did a great job. He's a Class 3 Defensive Player of the Year this year at safety as well. He played both ways, and so it's a thing to say that your starting quarterback didn't even make first team all conference and you haven't lost a game in 2 years. He's a college safety is what he is. He's a stud, and certainly high character young man. The other young man that was a captain was Jackson Morrison. Jackson's Rivals 2 or 3 star recruit, I believe. Big, strong offensive lineman for us. We take a lot of pride in running the football here where we're located at in the state of Missouri. We feel like make a playoff run, you're going to have to come through some bad weather, some windy days. Maryville's a place that seems like the wind's always blowing. So we don't. We're definitely not a spread team by any imagination. We like to run the football and out of the wing tee, and Jackson kind of fits that mold for us as far as what an offensive lineman should be. Big, strong offensive tackle for us, played a lot of different positions, but did an awesome job, from a leadership standpoint. And he's in those hard times right now as recruiting with a couple weeks left where to make a decision on where he's going to go. He's got some great opportunities, and just kind of praying for him and seeing where God leads him down in his college career.
Well, obviously, you mentioned Adam Dorrell, the head coach at Northwest Missouri State, Division II championship. You played with them, so I'm sure that kind of helps. Talk about the relationship between the high school program and the university there, especially if you have some top-notch kids that may fall down below, the Division I level and all that, and Division I AA. I'm sure it's a nice kind of thing to have in your backyard.
Yeah, it is. I think and again, I go back to the uniqueness factor. We're located, really the largest city closest to us is St. Joseph, Missouri, a town about 45,000, but that's about 45 minutes away. And so you get a community like we're at, kind of up here in the middle of cornfields and the bean fields and agriculture in Northwest Missouri. It's unique in that we both kind of feed off of each other. Mel Churchman was the head coach at Northwest that really turned that program around. Went to several national championships, won 3 of them. During the 90s and during the early 2000s. And I think that kind of bred a sense of winning culture in this small community. And we certainly, appreciate them. Every Saturday afternoon, there's not much to do around here except go watch football. So when they got a home game, all our guys are out there watching them. On Friday nights, when they play at home, the Bearcats are out here watching us, and they want to see us have success as well. And they think it's cool that, we're the Spoofhounds and we haven't lost a game. We're able to get out there and practice. They got a beautiful facility, and sometimes when we got inclement weather, whether it be rain or lightning or something like that, we can get out there and use their facilities. Certainly their coaches and their coaching staff and our coaching staff get along well. We do camps there in the summer, with the summer camps, and just really a good working relationship that we both respect each other and had a lot of pride for them as well. As soon as our season ended on Thanksgiving, I believe they were in the quarters of the semis, and I enjoyed, being able to say, hey, I'm just going to be a fan, and go down to Florence, Alabama, and watch them win a national championship. And a lot of people in the community felt the same way, and just to be able to support each other and just have each other's back in a lot of times.
That's the thing I love about small town high school football right up through the university. You have a unique situation there. We're talking with Matt Webb, Maryville High School, Northwest Missouri. I'm calling them Title Town because these guys were 60-0 from 7th grade right up through the university. An incredible year. And you said you're going to be out there in the snow flipping tires. And I don't want to tell you I'm out here in California where it's 80 degrees right now. We'll rest. We'll rest. I do miss it. I'm a back east guy. But anyway, so 2014's underway. You said you guys don't back away away from the streak. Let's talk about what you're going to do during the offseason, and maybe drop a couple of names here for some kids that are going to play a role to try and extend that streak this coming year.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, what we're in the process of doing is we're just now starting to develop in that identity, and that identity is something that, it comes with teamwork. We do a lot of things, whether that be, outside lifting weights after school, like I mentioned, in the bad weather. We take a lot of pride in that. Or it means going out in the community. We help out in a lot of events around town, whether it be a social that needs some tables set up or torn down, or giving back to the community in the off season that gives so much to us and on Friday nights during the season. So we do a lot of community relations and things like that. We do some off season book studies. One of the things that we're going through right now is a book entitled Season of Life by Jeffrey Marks. It's about a high school program in New York. It really talks about dealing with those expectations and not only winning football games, but doing it the right way with character education and what type of man that these guys have an opportunity to grow up to be, and making good decisions. Sometimes that's overlooked so many times, I think, at the high school level, and they're so influential that we do a good job with that. We have leadership council and those guys, so we go through some book studies and really study about what it takes to be a man. And sometimes when you deal with a small town and the expectations, it's easier to focus on those things than it is, hey, we're going to go strive to get 45-0 and go get another state championship. We really don't talk about that. We talk about winning the day. We talk about getting good grades. We talk about doing what you're supposed to do inside and outside of school, being a good son, whether it be your mom or your dad or mom and dad, what it takes to be a good teammate. We focus on those things in the off season. We got some very good talent coming back. We got an all-state running back. He's been 2 years in a row, Brody McMahon. He's a stud. He rushes for a ton of yards and things like that, but he's a better person than he is a better running back. And really excited about him coming back. He'll be a senior. We got another offensive lineman, Jacob Sosick, who will start paving the road for those big boys up front. And then we got a lot of young guys. We have right now our program, we had 30 freshmen in our team last year, and those guys will start developing roles and moving into, getting out of that JV level and moving into varsity level. That it'll be their time to shine. We talked about this past year. You go 15-0, and then this is your time to kind of leave your mark. And then those guys are chomping at the bit to get up there this summer and this fall for them to be out there on Friday nights and then making it their time to shine type thing underneath the lights that we talk about. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to the listeners here about what was an incredible year in Maryville, and we wish you nothing but continued success. And like you said, if you have faith, everything comes to you, and it looks like it's worked out pretty darn well from your trip back to the hometown at 30-0. And Matt, just thank you for your time, and again, good luck in 2014.
Again, like I said at the beginning, thanks for all that you guys do. I think it's totally awesome, and anything I can do to help out high school football and promote it. We're just a unique situation that we feel blessed to be a part of it. And it's we're a member of an awesome conference. We're a member of an awesome state. We take a lot of pride in football in Missouri, and we feel proud to be able to represent the Class 3 level. Thanks for everything you do.
Well, thank you very much. That is Matt Webb, Maryville High School. They went a perfect 60-0 from 7th grade right up through the varsity, their second straight championship. Matt has not lost a game since coming back to the high school ranks after leaving southeastern Louisiana. Going to take a break. When we come back on High School Football America, we're going to have a great clinic that goes on around the country. It's put on by Nike with the cooperation of the Coach of the Year. It's called the Nike Coach of the Year Clinics. There's 16 of them around the country. Stay tuned for that as we talk to the director of those clinics, Chuck Rohe. That and more. You're listening to High School Football America, and this is the Artist First Radio Network. Football players, listen up. Going to tell you about a great new product and a new sponsor here at High School Football America. And if you're one of those players that when you're playing on field turf, those nasty pieces of rubber get in your shoes and just annoy the heck out of you, well, there's a product out there that's going to take care of that. It is innovative and it's American-made. It's called the Debris Inhibitor Razor, and the Razor is spelled R-A-Z-U-R. The Debris Inhibitor Razor is a seamless outer sock that was specifically designed to keep crumb rubber and other fine debris from artificial or grass playing fields out of the athlete's shoes and socks, thus keeping such debris also out of the gym bags and out of locker rooms. It's favorited by athletes who want that look of tape, by trainers who no longer have time to tape only for show, and of course by moms who no longer want that crumb rubber in their house. The Debris Inhibitor Razor at TDIRazor.com is made of 70% nylon and 30% spandex material, making it extra lightweight and very durable. It's backed by a 1-year performance guarantee, and like I said at the beginning, it is 100% American-made, and we love that at High School Football America. The Debris Inhibitor Razor covers just the right amount of a player's shoe while keeping shoelaces tight. It is fully customizable via screen print or embroidery, machine washable, and most important, it's easy to get on and off. The Debris Inhibitor Razor is available in black, white, and pink, and other colors may be specially ordered. Sizes are available from the youth level right up to that big foot, the extra large shoe at 14 to 17. Founded in 2010 by former University of Mississippi All-SEC player Carl Hoppy Langley III and 3 other partners, Southern Sport Inc. created the Debris Inhibitor to improve athletic performance by protecting athletes, allowing them to look and feel better with technically advanced product engineering with superior fabric construction, patented design, and its proven innovation. That is the Debris Inhibitor Razor, a new sponsor here at High School Football America. We highly recommend you check them out at TDIRazor.com. That's razor spelled R-A-Z-U-R. When you contact them, mention you heard the ad on High School Football America. You'll be glad you did. This portion of High School Football America brought to you by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Tony the Tiger reminding all you dads, yeah, we're a little deep into 2014 already, but why not make it a resolution that whenever you share your passion for sports, you sit down with the kids and you do it over a bowl of Frosted Flakes. Tony the Tiger's slogan, it is share what you love with who you love. Well, we're going to head down south to Florida to talk about one of the best football camps. And I say camps because there's a bunch of them around the country. We've talked about it on the show before with my dear friend Jim Tack from the Pennsylvania area. It's the Nike Coach of the Year football clinics. There are 16 of them, and everything gets kicked off January 31st in Atlanta. And we'll go around the country and talk about specific ones. Top coaches from around the country come to these, and the man that's behind this is the national director of the clinics and the executive vice president of the Nike Coach of the Year football clinics. His name is Chuck Rohe, and he's on the line right now to talk about some incredible teaching, educational tools that are out there for you coaches as we go through the 2014 season here during the offseason. Welcome to the show, Chuck.
Glad to be on, Jeff, and to talk a little football with you.
Oh, we love it. Unfortunately, a lot of our listeners aren't in the warm areas we're in here, but we'll try and warm them up with some good football chat. And you know where I want to start on this? And like I said, we've had Jim Tack, and you know Jim very, very well on the show. But I'd like to go back because a lot of people, when we first brought Jim on, weren't aware of the Coach of the Year clinics, and it's gotten bigger and bigger since we've been doing this over the years. Let's talk about the origin, because it has great origins with Bud Wilkinson and Duffy Daugherty, and now Johnny Majors is the president. Give us a little bit of a history about the Nike Coach of the Year Clinic.
Well, the Nike Coach of the Year Clinic has been going on for 50 years now. We had our anniversary last year, and Duffy and Bud started these clinics, just 3 or 4 clinics in big cities like Chicago, L.A., New York, Pittsburgh, and they conducted those primarily with the Nike, without Nike. Nike was not involved at that time, and the clinics had gone through a number of different sponsors. The first one was Kodak. They were first the Kodak Coach of the Year clinics, and later the Champion Coach of the Year clinics, and then they were the Toyota Coach of the Year clinics. And then 20 years ago, we brought the Nike team on board, and the fascinating thing about Nike, Jeff, is the fact that of the top 85 football schools in the country, Nike, they are 73 of them are Nike schools. That is, they wear the Nike uniforms and they have contracts with Nike, and part of their contracts with Nike is that they speak at our clinic. Each of the Nike speakers either has 1 or 2 appearances on these clinics. So we really dominate the college coaching staff with our clinics. The other sponsors of various shoes and athletic uniforms and so forth have the other 12, the top 85. So we're very fortunate, and that allows us the luxury of assigning 4 or 5 of these Nike speakers to each one of our clinics. So it really it enables our clinics to have the type of talent that no other clinics can afford. I mean, nobody can afford to bring these guys in for $20,000 a piece and have a $80,000 or $100,000 speaker bill. But part of the arrangement with Nike is that they speak at the clinics, and of course I assign them to the clinics and try to divide them up so that every clinic has some headliners and second line coaches. And it really works out very well for us, and has been doing that. I've been running these clinics for 20 years.
Well, I know my buddy Jim Tack there in Eastern PA is so happy. Somehow you knew that Jimbo Fisher was going to be the national champ this year, so the Eastern PA folks are real excited for that to have Florida State there. We're talking with Chuck Rohe tonight of the Nike Coach of the Year clinics. 16 of them, again, they kick off, and you can go to the website. That is NikeCoyFootball.com. You can see where they are in your neck of the woods. They're all over from east to west, a lot of them up in the Northeast there. And talk a little bit about the coaching fraternity, Chuck. You said you've been doing this for 20 years. Certainly the game has changed in many, many ways with money rolling in and whatnot. But the fraternity, when it comes to sharing information, really hasn't. As a matter of fact, in some ways, I think it's gotten stronger. What's it like to work with these big national coaches and have them give back to our coaches at the high school league and the youth leagues that attend these clinics?
Well, the interesting thing, I think, is the fact that many of these coaches I've known for 30, even 40 years. When I was the head football recruiter at the University of Tennessee and the head track coach there in the 60s and early 70s, guys like Mac Brown and Boston Brown, I recruited them out of high school, and they would come up as a guest of the Vols at Neyland Stadium for our games and so forth. And I've continued the relationship with Mac. My wife almost sold Mac a home here when he was at North Carolina on our club here at Isleworth, and before he moved to Texas. I've known a lot of these coaches for many, many years. And then when I was at the University of Tennessee, involved in recruiting, and then for almost 20 years, I ran the Capital One Florida Citrus Bowl here and had many of these coaches as our guests when they brought their teams to Florida, to Orlando for our Capital One Florida Citrus Bowl or the Russell Athletic Bowl. So it's been an experience that allowed me to continue the relationship I've had with many of these guys for just years and years. Very few of them do I not know at all, but of course as the new coaches come online, I have to get acquainted with them.
But they do all get along. We're talking about the Nike Coach of the Year football camps. Go to NikeCoyFootball.com to learn about the clinics this year that are coming up. Again, everything gets kicked off January 31st in Atlanta, and then travels around the country throughout February and then into March. And we're going to have our buddy Jim Tack on the show coming up here in several weeks to talk about the Eastern PA football one in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Talk about kind of the way, obviously you're the guy that's assigning everybody going around and all that, but what are some of the topics that these guys talk about? Are there specific ones? Is it kind of a general? Does it have Q&A? How are these clinics basically conducted, especially with the bigger names at the top when they get in front of these coaches?
First of all, Jeff, the clinics, most of them are 3-day clinics, and they offer 20 to 24 hours of lectures throughout the 3 days. And if they have 5 Nike speakers, they maybe have one Friday afternoon, one Friday night, one Saturday afternoon, one Saturday night, maybe one on Sunday morning. The rest of the lectures, though, even though the Nike speakers are on for an hour to an hour and a half, the rest of the lectures are come from local high school coaches or even high school coaches they might bring in from out of the market area, assistant college coaches, weight training coaches, motivational speech, coaches speaking on concussion awareness and prevention and things like that. So it's a wide variety of subjects. And then the Nike speaker, of course, we try to get them to speak on their what is basically their offensive or defensive expertise, because that's what the high school coaches want to hear. You get a guy like Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, who's produced some of the greatest linemen in the country. You want him to speak on offensive line play. You get a guy like Dana Holgerson at West Virginia. You want him to speak on the wide open spread offense. You get a guy like Brett Bielema at Arkansas, and you want him to speak on the running game, the fantastic running games he had at Wisconsin and before he came to Arkansas. So that's how the coaches, we try to get them to use their area of expertise, what they're most famous for, to lecture to the high school coaches attending the clinics.
Talking with Chuck Rohe tonight. He is the National Director of the clinics for the National Coach of the Year clinics, sponsored by Nike, as you heard. They've been around for 50 years, and doesn't hurt to have Nike at the top spending its money to make it a special event for all the coaches. Please go to NikeCoyFootball.com to learn more about the events. Obviously, each and every year, you want to make it bigger and better. What are some of the things this year that may be a little different from the last couple of years? Have you added any wrinkles to the clinics?
Well, we've got some real good youth sessions going on now with the offense and defense camps, where we're catering to some of the youth coaches in each of the areas. We have 8 of our 16 clinics have extensive youth sessions that we've added for youth coaches, and we try to have the speakers for the youth coaches while they get to hear the prime Nike speakers at each clinic during those other sessions when maybe there's a college coach talking on the 4-4 defense or the spread offense, the college assistant or even a high school coach. We try to bring in youth speakers, junior varsity or a speaker who's coached a youth program. I've got a speaker here in Orlando, for example, who won the National Pop Warner Championship. I always try to have one of those guys speaking here every year in my youth program. So we've added a lot in the youth program. And, of course, concussion awareness and prevention has become a big subject, and we try to get all of our clinics to have at least one session from some expertise on concussion awareness and prevention.
So very well-rounded. We're talking about the Nike Coach of the Year clinics around the country getting started January 31st in Atlanta. That's the 31st through February 2nd. Again, go to their website. There's an interactive map there. You can see the stars on where all the clinics are. It's NikeCoyFootball.com. I know you just got back from the American Football Coaches Association, the annual convention in Indianapolis. I've talked to a lot of coaches who had a lot of fun there. What did you see there that kind of caught your eye that people should be knowing about for 2014, even if it's not about the coaching clinics?
Well, I tell you, the AFCA convention is always a very interesting sideline on my agenda every year. For example, there were 10 to 15,000 coaches in town in Indianapolis, and a lot of them are assistant coaches, even high school coaches who are looking for jobs. It's a job fair in many ways. And the lobby is filled with coaches trying to catch other coaches to talk to them about job openings or opportunities. And we have a hospitality suite there every year, and we invite all of our Nike speakers to come by and share some time with the high school coaches in attendance. And then, of course, there's a big exhibit hall there at the AFCA. There must be a couple of hundred exhibitors that display their wares, and of course we use that also to solicit exhibitors, because each of our clinics will have an exhibit hall. We may have here in Orlando, I have about 45 different exhibitors that display their wares during the 3 days of the clinic.
Yep, and we've got one of our sponsors at High School Football America, the debris inhibitor, going to Jim Tack's up there in Eastern Pennsylvania, so we're excited about that. Let's wrap up here, Chuck, with give you a little pitch. This is all about promoting the clinics and all that. So let's say somebody's listening to the show right now. They're a coach. It doesn't matter what level, youth, assistant coach, JV, whatever it may be. Give them your little spiel. Why should they come if they've never been to a Nike Coach of the Year clinic?
Well, of course, the biggest thing that our clinics have that no other clinics have, they can't afford the top-notch college coaches around the country like we have. And the other thing that we offer, of course, is each of the sessions, except when we have the Nike speaker on, when everybody's in the same room listening to one of the Nike speakers. The other sessions, and there are more of those, of course, than there are the breakout sessions than there are the Nike speakers. There's a choice. There may be an offensive lecture in room A, a defensive lecture in C, a special teams lecture in D, a concussion awareness lecture in room E, and so forth down the line. So the coaches have an opportunity to select what they want to hear each. They're not forced into a specific pattern or a specific speaker in each clinic, and that's makes for a lot of variety and a lot of latitude for the coach to hear what he wants to hear.
Well, I've learned a lot about it through Jim Tack. Actually attended one back in the day in Eastern PA, and just really appreciate you coming on the show here and sharing that. Hopefully, if a coach is out there and hasn't been to it, they got the gist of it. Again, if you can't get, if you want some more information, just go to the website, NikeCoyFootball.com. Chuck, we appreciate your time and best of luck. I think you're going to have some fun as you go into your clinics here. It sounds like you're a guy that has been doing this so long. It's just a pure passion for you.
Well, it's a thrill for me to be able to work with these coaches. Some of them might get a little difficult at times, but in general, they're very cooperative. They do want to educate the high school coach to be a better coach, and that's what these clinics are all about.
Well, we appreciate it, Chuck. Take care, and have a good 2014.
You do. Happy New Year to you, Jeff.
Thank you. Happy New Year. That's Nike Football Coach of the Year Clinics. It's NikeCoyFootball.com. We're taking a break, coming back with more. You're listening to High School Football America. Football players, listen up. I'm going to tell you about a great new product and a new sponsor here at High School Football America. And if you're one of those players that when you're playing on field turf, those nasty pieces of rubber get in your shoes and just annoy the heck out of you, well, there's a product out there that's going to take care of that. It is innovative and it's American-made. It's called the Debris Inhibitor Razor, and the razor is spelled R-A-Z-U-R. The Debris Inhibitor Razor is a seamless outer sock that was specifically designed to keep crumb rubber and other fine debris from artificial or grass playing fields out of the athlete's shoes and socks, thus keeping such debris also out of the gym bags and out of locker rooms. It's favorited by athletes who want that look of tape, by trainers who no longer have time to tape only for show, and of course by moms who no longer want that crumb rubber in their house. The Debris Inhibitor Razor at TDIRazor.com is made of 70% nylon and 30% spandex material, making it extra lightweight and very durable. It's backed by a 1-year performance guarantee, and like I said at the beginning, it is 100% American-made, and we love that at High School Football America. The Debris Inhibitor Razor covers just the right amount of a player's shoe while keeping shoelaces tight. It is fully customizable via screen print or embroidery, machine washable, and most important, it's easy to get on and off. The Debris Inhibitor Razor is available in black, white, and pink, and other colors may be specially ordered. Sizes are available from the youth level right up to that big foot, the extra large shoe at 14 to 17. Founded in 2010 by former University of Mississippi All-SEC player Carl Hoppy Langley III and 3 other partners, Southern Sport Inc. created the Debris Inhibitor to improve athletic performance by protecting athletes, allowing them to look and feel better with technically advanced product engineering with superior fabric construction, patented design, and its proven innovation. That is the Debris Inhibitor Razor, a new sponsor here at High School Football America. We highly recommend you check them out at TDIRazor.com. That's razor spelled R-A-Z-U-R. When you contact them, mention you heard the ad on High School Football America. You'll be glad you did. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Again, we're going away off the air right now, but keep up with us on social media at Facebook, at Twitter, also at highschoolfootballamerica.com. I want to thank our guest on the show tonight, starting with Matt Webb, Maryville, Missouri, the perfect little town with a 60-0 record, including the university there. Titletown, USA, at least for 2013. I want to thank Chuck Rohe of the Nike Coach of the Year Clinics. Learn more by going to NikeCoyFootball.com. You want to thank our partners on the show tonight, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, Tony the Tiger, reminding you to share what you love with who you love. Buy the TDI razor, the debris inhibitor razor. Get your 40% discount coupon by going to our website, and I'll give it to you right now, HSFBARZR1. That's TDI razor, spelled RAZUR.com, and that keeps those pesky rubber crumbs out of your shoes, and it gives you that great look of spatting. Also brought to you tonight by the Maxwell Football Club. Go to maxwellfootballclub.org, and brought to you tonight by Webleats at webleats.com. Get your free student-athlete profile. Thanking Corey King back in Ohio for keeping the show running smoothly. For now, this is Jeff Fisher saying good night and good sports. We'll talk to you next week on High School Football America on the Artist First Radio Network.